Okay, I posted the video and a lot of people agree with me. The iPhone 14 is pretty boring. Jeez, maybe I should start talking about Android phones again. Ew, Android, true. Why would you even say that? We are so embedded in the Apple ecosystem. Why the heck would you want to talk about Android right now? Well, because we have nothing to talk about. There will be more puns. Let's begin. So yeah, this company has gone viral in many ways. It's got a lot of attention, even to the point that it's pulling me out of Apple-related content, which is hard to do when you're embedded in the ecosystem as deeply as I am. But even a lot of people in the Apple community wanted me to talk about it just because Nothing has expressed interest in trying to make an ecosystem of products, and their company philosophy is all about how the products just kind of blend in with our everyday life and feel like nothing, you know? They just kind of work and they're extension of yourself, which honestly reminds me a lot of how Steve Jobs talked about how technology should work, and there's a lot of similarities between what this company has come up with and what Apple has come with. You know, they started with a pair of headphones that was very similar to AirPods Pro, except of course with Nothing, they seem to be kind of embracing technology design on the inside, showcasing, you know, with recycled plastic the inside, and you can kind of see a lot more of the electronics. At least that seems to be the design scheme they're going with. And I haven't tried them myself, but the reviews seem to be very pleasant. Most people were fairly happy with the Nothing earbuds, and now of course they're going into the smartphone realm, which I would say if you're a new startup company and you're trying to build out an ecosystem of products, the smartphone is a good place to start, because that's pretty much the one thing lots of people use, pretty much the most popular piece of tech in the world now. So there's a lot of hype surrounding it, even though it's not launching in the United States, so unfortunately I won't be able to at least easily get a hold of one and try it out for you. But this phone has absolutely caught the internet by storm, and now lots of people are talking about that new back design, and thank God they did something different with the back, right? Because Android phones and iPhones are guilty of this as well. They're all just starting to blur together. They're all starting to finish this war on bezels, where now you have lots of Samsung phones that have, you know, the hole punch camera cut out and the one-size bezel all the way around. They kind of admitted defeat on the curved edge display. Pixel hasn't got the memo on that yet, but lots of Android phones are all starting to look the same, right? You got your big old fat camera modules on the back, you got your glass back for your wireless charging, and you've got a full screen display on the front. And yes, iPhones are doing this too. I'm not trying to say it's an Android problem or an iPhone problem, it's just smartphones and tech are maturing. So when you're an up-and-comer and you don't have an established fan base, you have to do something different. You have to catch people's attention and do something that makes you stand out in a crowd. And I will admit that Nothing seems to be doing a good job with that, because they are trying to embrace the internal design of hardware and kind of show that off to the world, and I think in a lot of ways that's leaning into the tech community, because the tech community loves to have those, you know, iFixit like wallpapers where your screen is showing exactly what's behind the screen, and people love the Game Boy designs where it shows the inside of the electronics. Because we're all nerds and geeks, we love that kind of crap, and Nothing seems to be leaning into it. So you can kind of see a lot of the internal electronics on the Nothing phone, but they're also adopting all of these weirdly shaped asymmetrical lights. Some people say the lights look a little bit like the Apple logo. I think that's pure coincidence, but with those lights you can use it kind of like a ring light when you're recording video. And yes, the specs on the Nothing phone seem pretty good. They have a mid-range Snapdragon chip, they have 120 Hz, which of course gets my stamp of approval, but Androids have had that for years now. It has a reasonable starting price, close to around $500 US, an ultra-wide camera and a regular camera, and a very iPhone 12-esque signature. But hey, the iPhone 12 sold really, really well, so Nothing phone is just kind of copying a lot of that footprint. I got nothing wrong with that. Good artist copy, great artist steal. But they're trying to stand out with that back design with all these lights, which I guess you can configure, you know, so if the phone is sitting down and you get a call or a text, you can customize how those lights respond to each app notification or whoever is contacting you, which was this really clever way of just using light sources to let you know what kinds of notifications you're doing. doing. But a lot of people aren't aware of this. There's actually companies that have come up with this design earlier, but they like to call it the display. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's very, very cool. Don't get me wrong. It looks pretty and it's futuristic looking to have all these lights in these different orientations, and hopefully you have a good enough memory to be like, beep, 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 beep. Oh yeah, that's the mom notification light. I should pick this up. Or, oh yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend's number. I should ignore that one. But a lot of people just like to leave their phone with the screen up so, you know, they can check the time or they can, you know, quickly access the camera or whatever. And if you're wondering who texts you on the display or who's calling you, you can just read the screen and the name and even the text message itself is there. So, sorry, I'm not trying to be a complete party pooper on this design. I appreciate them for their environmental goals, and I loved Carl when he was at OnePlus. I thought he was the best person at that whole company, and it's cool to see Casey Neistat investing in a tech brand like this. So I love the concept of them being carbon neutral and trying to start up this whole ecosystem from scratch. And I think the reason Carl left OnePlus was because he wasn't really happy with the direction the company was going in. So it feels like Nothing Phone is once again another one of those enthusiast brands that leans into trying to be affordable and, you know, listening to the community and making a product that a lot of people fall in love with. But as we all know, a lot of the time enthusiast brands become the villain that they were trying to separate themselves from. And as the Nothing company grows, I hope that they're able to retain their roots and stick to their core values instead of realize that, well, in order for us to address a wider and wider market, and as we need to get closer and closer to having a flagship, we need to keep compromising and keep doing the same things that all these other big tech companies are doing anyway. So if they find a way to beat out the competition and make something that a lot of people are willing to buy over a OnePlus or a Samsung and Huawei or a Xiaomi, since this is going to be in international markets, that's still overall a good thing, even if they end up betraying their enthusiasts that fall in love with them now. You know, I admire their ideas of being this like blend into the background and the technology just works and it's just trying to be an extension of yourself and get the job done. But at the same time, it's like, well, okay, a lot of people are already using Android phones and iPhones. How do we separate ourselves? Ooh, let's put some cool, funky lights on the back. So as impressive as it is and as attention grabbing as it is, it doesn't exactly follow through in my mind with that core concept of the technology should just blur into the background, because now I feel like in order to take advantage of that back, you're gonna have to configure a bunch of settings that you wouldn't normally have to configure, and make sure always put the phone screen down and have the lights pop up so that you can actually utilize that feature, because no other phone has it. So that's fine. At the end of the day, you gotta separate yourself. But I already feel like with a lot of these design characteristics, they're kind of straying from their original path of just making tech that blends into the background and you don't even notice it. But I'm all in favor of more companies trying to make ecosystems, and Nothing has Nothing OS, which is basically kind of a skin on top of Android. But from what they've shown so far, I feel pretty good about it, because they want to have no bloatware and less pre-installed apps, which I'm all in favor of. It feels like another company out there is trying to find their voice and find their audience while still trying to make an ecosystem of products that work really well together that, of course, is not Apple's ecosystem. So, in the meantime, I'm sure Apple has nothing to worry about, but... Okay, I'm sorry. Probably the smartest idea this whole company had was the name, because the jokes, the headlines, the videos, they all write themselves, so that instantly gives them a lot more attention than, I don't know, generic smartphone company startup. This is banana. But because so many of you were asking me what I felt about the design, yeah, it looks fine. It looks pretty good. It's a shame it's not coming to the US, because I would love to try one, you know, with my actual carriers here and everything. No, I'm not willing to, like, import one or whatever, but I hope this company does well, because I think that the smartphone market has matured and peaked in a lot of ways, and I think companies that try to rival Apple's ecosystem of products are the best way to go moving forward, because if you're just trying to be, once again, another name on a wall of Android phones and just be like, yeah, we have a full screen display and a pretty good camera, yeah, that's not gonna work. So they're finding their iconic and unique features, and I think that's a good thing, and they clearly seem to have captured a lot of attention, so I think they're on the right track to succeed, and hopefully more of their products can launch in the US, because who knows, one day, you know, if Apple doesn't switch to USB-C on the iPhone, I may just go ahead and have to switch to make things more interesting for the tech channel, because once the Apple Silicon Mac Pro is out, it's gonna be really fun and really exciting for a couple months, and then everything's gonna become S years and incremental upgrades and fairly boring, so we have nothing to talk about. That's when this channel is going to expand a lot more outside of the Apple brand. But for now, you know, we got the M2 MacBook Air reviews dropping tomorrow because of the embargo lift and all that, and then I'll get my MacBook Air on Friday. There's still a lot of stuff with Apple to talk about in the meantime, but way to go, Carl, and hope everybody enjoys the Nothing phone when it launches. This is your Alpship here, and I've got nothing to say. Yeah, that one doesn't work as well. Bye.